Paddy Pimblett is going to run through Jared Gordon. With UFC 282 right around the corner, this co-main event has a lot of people interested, and a lot of people are excited to see what Paddy can do when facing the biggest test of his career. But quickly, before we get the video started, for those of you who may not know, I'm Juicy MMA, I make opinionative MMA content, and if you guys enjoy videos similar to this, hit that subscribe button, that like button, and that post notification bell. But anyways, let's get into it. Regardless of what you think about Paddy Pimblett's fighting style and fighting ability, there's no question that this guy's a superstar. The way that he energizes a crowd and the following that he has is just incredible to watch, to be honest. And regardless of how good he is out there in the octagon, that type of star power is pretty incredible and certainly something that you have to respect. And thus far in the UFC, Paddy has done nothing but win. Of course, you could say that the competition that he's going up against isn't necessarily the best, and I personally would certainly agree with that, but at the end of the day, he's getting the job done thus far. I think thus far the UFC has done a nice job at slowly increasing the level of competition they put up against Paddy, and this fight against Jared Gordon would certainly be the next leg up, and I definitely think this is the toughest matchup of Paddy Pimblett's career. Now that doesn't necessarily mean I think it's going to be a very difficult fight for Paddy. Maybe it will, maybe it won't, but I'm not necessarily saying that. I just think it's a tougher fight than any other fight that he had thus far in the UFC. Jared Gordon is a legitimate guy that's been around for some time, and he's gone up against the best like Charles Oliveira and some other guys as well. So he definitely has that experience and that octagon time to really be a nice crafty veteran out there. But now let's move back to Paddy and get into the question of the video, which is, do I think Paddy would win this matchup against Jared Gordon? And if I do think so, how do I think he'll do it? But before I answer that question, let's quickly look at Paddy's skill sets and see what he does well out there. Now starting with his stand-up abilities, Paddy has somewhat of a striking ability, I would say. He has a decent amount of power, he has the ability to throw a jab, a left or right hand, has the ability to switch stances at times, has a decent ability to throw kicks as well, but one thing that I would say, and the glaring weakness that I would say about Paddy on the feet, is he just isn't all that technical at all. On the feet, we already saw him get a knockout, and we do see him have some success at times against lower level competition by just basically blitzing his opponent, and he's able to be somewhat successful with that due to his power and due to his tremendous chin. But once he moves up the rankings and once he starts to fight better strikers, that lack of true technical skill on the feet for Paddy is going to become more and more of an issue for him. Now in this matchup against Jared Gordon, I do think he could have some success on the feet, and of course there definitely is that possibility of getting that knockout whenever you have that blitzing style on the feet and you have that tremendous chin to give you confidence to do so. There's always that opportunity, and Paddy does hit pretty hard, I would say, as well. But on the feet, I would probably say the most technical and the best aspect of his game is certainly his kicks. He has pretty nice kicks to the legs, nice kicks to the body, and kicks to the head. But really where Paddy thrives is on the ground, and specifically talking about his jiu-jitsu. Paddy does have very, very good jiu-jitsu, I would say. He has a really nice ability on the ground to find the position as well as find the submission, as we saw that in his most recent two fights. Maybe not necessarily all that much in the UFC, but throughout his MMA career, he has shown the ability to get the position and dominate, even if he's not necessarily looking for the submission at the moment. And on the ground, I would say Paddy is certainly very good. Now he has a decent ability to take the fight to the ground, I would say. It's not tremendous, but of course it's not bad. I would say it's pretty decent at this point. And in terms of his own takedown defense, I would say it's good. But in my opinion, the biggest strengths of Paddy's game is his jiu-jitsu, of course, his tremendous chin, and his heart. I think those three things are the main reasons why he's had so much success thus far in his young UFC career. But now let's get back to that question that I proposed before on whether or not I think Paddy's going to win this matchup against Jared Gordon. So in my opinion, although I don't think Paddy's all that polished, at least yet at this point, I do think he's going to have enough out there to beat Jared Gordon, and I think he's going to be able to do so pretty convincingly. I do see him getting a finish either by a TKO or a submission on the ground before the fight ends. I just think Paddy does have enough skill to get a win over a pretty good guy in Jared Gordon. And if he's not having all that much success on the feet, I do have the confidence that Paddy would be able to take the fight to the ground and utilize his dominance there. Now of course Jared Gordon is pretty good as well on the ground, but I do think Paddy's jiu-jitsu is just very, very good, and he would be able to have a lot of success on the ground overall. Now my official prediction for this matchup would be a submission in the second round for Paddy. Now of course I could be wrong, he could get a TKO I guess, or he could just win a decision, or of course there's always that possibility that he does lose, but I just don't really necessarily think he's going to lose this matchup in my opinion, although it is a dangerous matchup for him. But now, the question is, if I'm right and Paddy is successful at UFC 282, what's next for him? So in my opinion, I feel like there's two major fights that I personally would like to see for Paddy next, assuming he does win this matchup. The first matchup would be against Ilia Topuria, who both of them have beef against each other, and the other matchup I would like to see would be against Terrence McKinney. I think both of those matchups are very interesting and very entertaining matchups as well. The Ilia Topuria route, of course, both of these guys are very good. I think Ilia Topuria is fantastic, and there's that beef aspect behind it, so of course it's going to be that much more interesting. But the Terrence McKinney fight is also very interesting, as Terrence is one of the more exciting young fighters in the UFC, with a tremendous ability both on the ground and on the feet as well. And the clash of styles between these two guys would just make for a very entertaining matchup. But of course, in order to get to those potential two guys next, Paddy would have to win this matchup against Jared Gordon, which is certainly a matchup that I do think is favorable for Paddy and a matchup that he should win. Now, there is a possibility that between this fight and between the last fight, Paddy does improve significantly, and that's a very real possibility. That's what he's been saying all week, that he's improved so much ever since his last fight. Now, of course, everybody says that all the time, but we never know with younger guys. It could actually be true with Paddy. We'll see what happens. Maybe he's a lot better on the feet, maybe he's a lot more technical, and if he is able to be pretty technical on the feet, then I think he's a very dangerous fighter. Because I do think there's a lot of aspects to Paddy's game that are just very good and just exactly what you want when you're talking about the higher level fighters. But I just think at this point that stand-up ability is a little bit of a flaw for Paddy. But he's still young, he still has time to improve, and hopefully he does so in this next matchup, but also just going forward in general. So I guess we'll see what happens when this matchup comes and goes at UFC 282, but I will say I am very excited to watch, as I am extremely excited to watch any Paddy Pimblett matchup. But anyways, let me know what you guys think in the comments. Do you think Paddy Pimblett has a good chance to win this matchup against Jared Gordon, or do you not think so? But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and if you did enjoy, check one of these two videos popping up now, and until the next time, peace out guys.